Hey guys, Josh Lucas and Aaron Schober coming at you from Sword, Carolina. We're moving on in the next step of our study of Ott Jud's Ringen techniques. We've been doing a lot of wrestling at the arms, right? Today we're going to be doing wrestling at the body. So we've been doing a lot of wrestling at the arms because if I'm trying to wrestle at the body with Aaron, I have to go through his arms. There's no way I'm going to approach Aaron and he's not going to put his arms out. Right? I'm just going to come up and do what that's not going to happen. People are like, what if he doesn't want to give me his arms? He will. You know, if you're coming in to wrestle, the arms are going to be there. So if I'm trying to wrestle Aaron at the body, there's really two things that he can do. Okay. The first is he can back away. So now he's out of range. Now it all resets. The second thing he can do is we've come in and he is posting on me. He's pushing me right here with this arm. So I want to wrestle at the body, but I have to get through this arm right here, this post right here. So there's a couple of things that I can do, and a lot of it depends on how strong he's pushing me, how strong he's pulling against me. If it's a little bit of force, the first thing I can do is I can take my right hand and I can actually just pull on the inside, kind of push on the inside of his elbow, pull it out, and that sets me up to come in to wrestle at the body. Okay. If there's a little bit more force, I can actually take my right hand and come on the inside and push like that. And you can see I'm pushing at the inside of his elbow right here. That's going to be the fulcrum for the post that he set. So I push at the inside right there. That pushes his arm out, and then I can come in and gain the body that way. The last one, and you could actually do these in progression. You could try and pull it out. It's like, well, that didn't work. You can try and go to the inside. It's like, no, it's too strong. The last one, and this one will pretty much always work, is if he is just, I am not getting through that any way possible with the first two, I would actually wrap to the inside. Very similar to what we've done before. So I'd wrap to the inside. That definitely pushes the arm out, and then I can gain the body like that. So now that I've gained the body, what do I do from there? I need to have a follow-up technique. Last time we did the barrier. So there's a technique I can do from the body that is essentially the barrier. We've come into the wrestling at the body, so I've gained access there. You can see one arm is above his shoulder and the other arm is below. I'm going to take the arm that's above, wrap and push on the inside of his neck. I'm going to take the opposite leg, so the opposite side of where I'm pushing on the neck, and take that leg and push it behind his leg and push with my elbow, and that is essentially the barrier.
One thing you may have noticed is when we get into wrestling at the body with one arm above and one arm below, we are actually both in the same position here. So if I get into this position, he's in the same position as well. So any of the techniques that we're showing could be performed by either person. The person in the fore or in the knock, if you will. So if Josh is closing into the body, he just threw the barrier on me. If he's closing into the body, I might do the barrier against him. Or any of the other techniques that we're going to cover today. We're in the same position, so speed is really essential here. You have to have the strength, you have to have the skill, but the speed, whoever gets into the technique properly first, is likely going to be the one who wins there. So another option here. Let's say that we're wrestling at the body here, and Josh is really pressing me toward himself. Like he's really trying to control me. He's wrestling very hard. Just like we did before, I can take my hand that's above and put it under his throat, but now I'm going to really put some pressure on there. Sorry. And it's going to cause some pain to Josh, and it's going to force him to either let go and break grips with me, or at least give me a little breathing room. He's going to relieve some of the pressure on me if I can get that forearm or that elbow in his throat, right? So one thing I can do from here, as opposed to what Josh did before, is once I come up here, I can actually reach down and grab the bending of his knee. And so now I have a push-pull action going on here where I'm pushing against his throat, pulling against his knee, and he goes down from there. If we're in a position where he may try to break the balance of the elbow. So you remember this from a previous video. If I come up here and I put my arm against him here, he may try to push my elbow across and counter me from that. That's a good counter, but once again, if I'm speedy, I was going to say fast, but I was trying to make it work with the speed word I used earlier, right? So if I'm coming up here, he's pushing against my elbow, I can just pull my elbow down, press it against his side, and pull his knee, and now I can continue the same action from below.
Very effective.
It is very effective. So I press it against his throat. I'll do it out a little range here so you can see I'm pressing it against here. If he pulls it down, I'm going to pull my elbow down and grab his knee, pressing my elbow against his side instead of against his throat, but otherwise the same technique, and continue from there. If we're wrestling at the body and he's more loose, he's a little more defensive. So what do we mean by that? Where he's got some distance between him. Where before he was all pressed up against me, right? Like in a manly embrace, right? Rather than wrestling very close and pressing me toward him like we just did, Josh also may be wrestling a bit more loosely or more defensively. So we're still wrestling at the body, but he may have a little space between us. He may be trying to lean on me, he might be trying to be more defensive, setting up a different type of throw. But in this case, I can still perform the same technique I just did, except I'm gonna bring my arm that's above to his neck. My arm that's underneath now, instead of reaching back toward the near side leg, I'm actually gonna reach across his body and grab his other knee, and now I'm gonna throw him onto his side. So instead of throwing him straight back, I'm gonna reach across, throw him down to the side. This is also very effective. And like we said before, this is gonna work to both sides depending on which arm you have above and which arm you have below.
That's correct.
We're gonna cover one other technique from this grip today in this video. I'm sure there are more that we are not going to cover because these are your cliff notes, right? You still have to go back and read the manuscripts yourselves.
You should be reading.
You should be reading and studying. And we know you guys do. But one other technique I have from here is, once again, we are clinched up, but now instead of attacking his neck with the arm I have above, I'm actually going to take the arm that I have below and wrap it up over his arm, grab my own hand, and then step back and pivot out with this. So this is to throw him onto his face, and that is good. This has the best line in probably all medieval literature. This will throw him, and that's good.
That's good.
So we'll do it from the other shoulder as well. So if we're in an opposite, so the camera can see better. Taking the arm that's underneath, wrapping it up over his arm, grabbing my own arm, and then twisting out. This is going to put a lot of, it's either going to throw him or it's really going to mess up his shoulder, his axle here. So this, I love this technique. It's a very pretty technique. We just have a picture of it right here on the wall too.
As you can see, wrestling at the body can be very effective. From gaining the body, a number of techniques that you can use. You can be instantly countered with the technique you were about to use on the person because you're in the same position. And with you guys reading your manuscript, you may have noticed that we took a couple of things from here and put them in here in more of a logical progression as maybe it should have been in the beginning. Ott? That's it for this week, though. So Josh Lucas and Aaron Schober from Sword Carolina.